Hey everybody, this is Chad. What we're looking at here is a fish that I've been trying to get a video of for the last couple of days. It's a Otocinclus, otherwise known as the Otto or Otto Catfish. It's a small little sucker catfish that likes to rasp algae off of things. I always leave the sides and back of my tanks unscraped for my algae eaters. You can see he's going to town. It's a fish that is peaceful, and it'll get only about 2 inches long. I recommend that you keep more than one of them. 3 or more is good. And depending on how many you have will determine the size of tank you keep them in. You will see a few websites online recommend a 30-gallon tank for them. This is something that I disagree with. I don't think that 3 Otocinclus need a 30-gallon tank. In my experience, they do just fine in 10 gallons. If it's a mature tank and the other tank mates are right. And that's an issue that's important to talk about. They are not aggressive fish at all, and that includes when it comes to feeding time. As little South American rasping fish, they're used to higher currents, and they'll hold on with those mouths and rasp algae. And that means that they're not going to run around competing with other fish for food. So if how you plan on feeding them is by dropping in algae pellets or some kind of a flake, then there are other fish that are going to eat those things, then the Otocinclus is going to be the last to the dinner table, because it's just not competitive in that way. So I recommend that you have them in a mature tank so that they're going to be able to hang out like this and rasp algae off of the sides, rocks, or plants, and get their nutrition that way. One of the sure signs in a fish store you'll notice that this is true is you'll see a lot of them have sunken in bellies. A healthy Otto is a fat Otto. I do wish that it was on the front glass, because you could see that the Otto that I have in this tank, there's another one hiding back there if you can barely see him. Can you spot the Otto? These guys have fat bellies, and that's a sign that they're getting enough to eat. You often see that in the store where they have sallow bellies. Now, I'm not saying don't buy them if they're like that. Just be aware that you have an uphill battle, and if you can find Otto that have a fat belly already in the store, those are the ones you want to choose, because you're going to have a better chance of success with those. Another thing that you'll probably read online about them and that I disagree with is that they are quote-unquote algae busters. Well, they're not. Yes, they eat algae, and they eat algae all day long, but they're simply not going to consume enough algae to be something in your tank that takes care of an algae problem. So if you have an algae problem, you have a nutrient problem. Adding fish isn't going to help, because those fish are going to add nutrients to the tank. It's not really going to take care of what you want to take care of. So yes, they eat algae. No, they aren't algae busters. No, you aren't going to keep every inch of your tank clean because you have a cleaning crew of Otocinclus, and that's really true of other algae eaters as well. I don't believe in taking care of algae through consumers. Yes, they can manage it. Yes, they can help, but don't rely on them. Rely on nutrient control, and also rely on not being afraid of algae. A little bit of algae isn't a bad thing. It's a healthy thing and a useful thing for your tank. It helps create balance, a food source, and absorbs nutrients. So don't be too awfully afraid of it. So that's the Otocinclus. It's a fairly easy to care for fish in the right tank. So depending on your tank, it's either a beginner fish or an intermediate fish. What I mean is, if you have a tank that's about a year old and is in good stable condition, this is a good fish for you. If you have a new tank, wait until it's 8 months to a year old and has gone through all the different changes that tanks go through, and then go ahead and get one. They do, in my opinion, well, my experience, require really stable water, and that's important. And that's why I say make sure that you have a tank that is mature and stable, because these guys don't like changes in water parameters. They like it to be consistent. They like it to be clean and consistent. Again, as I pointed out, they're from South America. They're from faster moving streams, and that tends to have a little bit higher oxygen content and cleaner water as it moves past. So those are things to keep in mind when you get an otto. A lot of people say it's a drab fish, boring fish, but I disagree with that, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So if you are like me and you think that it's a fascinating fish and a great catfish to have in a small tank, then this is the fish for you. And hope you enjoy having one, because I know I enjoy having mine, and they get along great with all my micro fish. Alright, well, that's it for now. If I get a better shot of him, I'll include that in this video. I want to get their fat bellies in there, so we'll see how that turns out. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.